Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I had a subscriber or viewer, I suppose, come in. He's a fanboy of Dorian Yates, and he posted all over my Facebook, all over the video comments, kind of saying, hey, I'm lying, I'm making up Dorian's doses. He was way more conservative, and he's basing it on interviews. So let me clarify that. So let me put on my +5 out of weaponsmithing, do a little bit of crafting, and let's talk about this, because my original reference was to an interview I read well over a decade ago out of a magazine, where Dorian discussed his doses in details. And they were more extreme than what was linked in this article, but this article actually validates me. We'll get to that in a minute. Now, people will say, well, how can you remember dosages that you read over a decade ago? You guys might have noticed in my videos that I don't sit here and reference Google. I don't reference anything. I talk and I remember numbers pretty well. You guys want to know how well I remember numbers? When I was 16 years old, the first camshaft I put in my Firebird aftermarket one that I bought from Summit Racing was a single pattern cam. It was a hydraulic cam. It had 488 lift. It had, I believe, a 242 duration at 50 thousandths lift. Seat to seat, I believe it was 292 degrees of duration. It had 114 degrees of lobe separation, and we ran it at 5 degrees timing advance. My favorite match hand load for the 308 in the 90s was a 168 grain Sierra Match King running 44 grains of IMR 4895 powder. I remembered numbers pretty well, guys. I'm decent at it. So when I say that I read an interview with Dorian Yates in which he admitted to over 2 grams of a combination of testosterone, Deca, and it was actually Anavar. Now, reading this other one, he's saying Dianabol, but I specifically remember reading an interview with Dorian where he said he used up to 1.5 grams of testosterone every week with 500 milligrams of Deca or nandrolone decoinate with 50 milligrams of Anavar every day. Now, that's what I remember reading, and this was over a decade ago. That's what he said. That's what I read. Not making it up. So this person brings this article, and I'm going to read out this article here of what the guy admitted to using off-season. Now, pre-contest, in the article he linked, I'll link the article below, he usually used 8 units of growth hormone. Now, people need to understand, you want to talk about conservative doses. 8 units of human-grade growth hormone, they didn't have this cheap Chinese generic stuff back then. The street value on that today is $2,000 to $3,000 a month. All right, that's current. That's considered decent value. That's good prices. $2,000 to $3,000 a month. All right, now if you think that's conservative, I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, he admits down here his weekly setup for his off season. He preferred later in his career 750 milligrams of testosterone. That's half the amount I listed. 500 milligrams of Deca with 50 milligrams of Dianabol a day. Now, he also states further down, because people will say, well, that's only 1.6 grams. See, you lied. No, I didn't. You just scroll down the article, and it says, let me find it. I'm going to read it out loud. Dorian Yates. Well, look, that cycle I listed above for prep was from 1993, and it was roughly 1,500 milligrams total. I never said I didn't increase it all at times over the years that followed. I was very meticulous and kept records of all my workouts, meals, and drug regimens. At one point, I did use as much as 2,500 milligrams per week in my off season. Right there in the article. People want to say, hey, you just made that up. You lied about my hero. It's right there out of his own mouth in the article. So how can you be making that up? He admitted right there to 2,500 milligrams at one time. Now he says that he cut it back down because he didn't see any real benefit to going that high. All right, he didn't see any benefits to going that high. But here's the thing, guys. People always want to jump up and criticize and make a big deal when you talk about someone that they look up to, and it's not even in a negative light. It's like, let me correct you. And I would have to say, honestly, I don't think you're that big of a fan of the guy. How could you be a big fan of the guy if you didn't actually read the entire article? I mean, the guy gives an interview. If you're going to be a huge fan of someone, at least read everything that they said. Because he admitted to 2.5 grams in the actual article. So people need to step back and assess these things. Do a little bit of due diligence sometimes. Don't assume that because someone tells you, look, that they've read something that someone said somewhere, or that, look, this is what this person has admitted to. Don't assume they're lying. Go research it for yourself. And I mean, the thing is, anyone who didn't believe that, all they had to do was go read, in fact, the very article that was linked to me multiple times. He still admitted to 2.5 grams at one time. So think about that. I mean, he admitted to it. And here's the thing. People need to understand, you guys know that Dorian Yates has been criticized very, very heavily in the pro bodybuilding world for lying about his doses. There are a lot of people who have accused him of lying about his doses, that he had to have used a lot more than he claims. All right, that is a very, very common criticism of the man. I'm not making that criticism. The thing is, by pro bodybuilding standards, honestly, 2.5 grams isn't that high. It really isn't. Think about that. Think about what you guys have seen people like Rich Piana admit to using here on YouTube. Rich Piana has admitted to 4.5 grams. Plus all the other stuff, growth hormone and all that other stuff thrown in. 4.5 grams. He ran a cycle on his Bigger by the Day that went up to 4.5 grams every week. So to say that Dorian used 2.5 grams at one time, I mean, seriously? And then you got Boston Lloyd who did 13 grams at one time. So is it really that far-fetched? I mean, especially when he admits to it. That's not an insult to the guy. He admitted to it. He is accused of that, though. There are people who do insult him on that. They do call him a liar. There are pro bodybuilders who call him a liar because they don't believe that he achieved the results he did on his doses. Now, I'm sitting here willing to give the guy the benefit of the doubt because, truth be told, particularly modern stuff today, a lot of the stuff that people take is garbage. You need to remember there's a lot of underdosed, mislabeled stuff out there today, and it's because the black market and underground labs have taken over the drug world. That's part of what makes anabolics more dangerous today. This is why there is more concerns about their health risk, because these are no longer pharmaceutical drugs. These are not prescription drugs made under pharmaceutical standards with government regulations and sterility and toxicity and everything in place. This is stuff that people are making in their homes. They're making it sometimes in a warehouse. A lot of the big ones, they're making it sitting there in a warehouse. It's maybe not a sterile environment. You don't know what they're filtering. You don't know how much they're baking it. You don't know what they're putting into the mix. So there are concerns there, but mainly a lot of the stuff out there is very, very underdosed. And that's the reason you see guys saying, oh, I'm using 100, 150 milligrams of trenbolone acetate a day. I can promise you that if anyone out there was using 150 milligrams of real trenbolone acetate a day, really using that much, they probably would only sleep 30 minutes a night. They probably would cramp and break out into a massive sweat every time they eat a little bit of carbohydrates. They would be sweating so bad that they would almost have heat exhaustion. That is a lot. That is an absolute lot. Dorian had said he was using 76 milligrams of tren twice a week. So basically 152 milligrams a week. All right, the thing you got to remember, this was all pharmaceutical stuff. Everything that he had was pharmaceutical grade. So a guy his size using 1.6 of real stuff, prescription quality, pharmaceutical quality drugs, along with all that growth hormone, you know what? I'm going to say maybe with his genetic gifts, it's totally possible. I'm not going to say the guy's a liar because I think he could be telling the truth. But the fact of the matter is, guys, when you come in and you make a big deal that someone has made up something about your hero or someone that you admire and you don't even bother to read everything that they say, I mean, come on. It's just ridiculous. And I mean, I wouldn't even be criticizing the guy. Normally, I would have just taken it as a troll, but the guy seems so adamant that, he really loved Dorian and he made quite a few posts about it. He was like really serious about it. But the truth is, brother, you didn't even read the interview. I absolutely did not make up those doses. And Dorian actually admitted in this second interview, because I've never read this particular interview before. I read other ones. But he flat out admitted to going up to 2.5 grams. He just said that he didn't feel that it benefited him to go that high. All right, big difference. Totally not made up. He's absolutely admitted to this. Indisputable. The evidence is right there for you guys to see. So yeah, guys, I didn't make up his doses. I went what I remember reading well over a decade ago. And like I said, I'm pretty decent at remembering numbers. Not perfect, but I think I'm pretty good at it. I'll give you guys some examples. Alright guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.